the most giant snakes on the planet. And certainly Ivy, it's just an absolute beast. She's actually in shed and she's definitely loving being in the water right now. But just take a look at the size of that animal. Woo! And she moves so fast in the water. We actually have 3 anacondas in the water right now. And she's all up in my feet. Oh, come on, big girl. Woo! I tell you what an amazing thing. But the thing that's really amazing about it is that she's an anaconda, but in actuality, she's in a Boidae family. So she's related to a boa. Let's go ahead and tell you what that actually means. And all snakes are broken down into the same type of classification. So let's go ahead and start with, that's right, the actual kingdom is called Animalia. And it's not just snakes and reptiles, but all animals are broken into the kingdom of Animalia. Then the next would be phylum, which is actually Chordata, so all vertebrate animals. Class would be Reptilia. That's pretty self-explanatory. Now you get into the order, which is Squamata. Now, sometimes you might hear people talk about snakes and say, oh, a bunch of cute little squams. Well, that's where the word squams comes from, is the order that snakes are in, which of course is Squamata. Family. Now, this is when things start to split, and we're going to talk a lot about that throughout this entire video. Same thing with genus. Now, that's when you're breaking down to specific animals. Now you're not talking about broad ranges of stuff. Now you're getting into specific genuses. And then there's species, and that's broken down into the genuses. So you have a broader category of genuses, and then you have the subcategory of species. So now that we understand kind of how the genetics work and how the whole classification is, she's actually the genus Eunectes, and she's a species Marinus. Of course, the Marinus would be a water animal, right? But the fact is that she is a boa, or in the Boidae family, which is pretty darn awesome. But hey, listen, all of these families, oh, all these class of families, wow, she is all over the place today. All these class of animals can start with giant snakes like her, all the way to pretty small animals. But of course, there are giant boas and there are giant pythons as well. Guys, don't forget there is the new Reptarium swag out for the holidays. Got tons of Christmas stuff that you can get for gifts. You can wear to your Christmas events if you so choose. And of course, we have some end of the year 2022 turnaround. You know, listen, they're all awesome. You can go to Reptarium, join the army. I would certainly appreciate it. Get out there, show people how much you love reptiles, because that's what it's all about, right? Reptilarmy.com. Take, for instance, my girl Lucy, who's been in a pretty nasty mood lately, and I have a feeling that she's not happy that I'm here. You can see she's ready to strike at me. What are you doing, girl? Whoa, there she is. I knew that that was going to happen. She's like, stay away with me. Don't muck with me. I will get you, that's for sure. That's okay, Lucy. I promise I'm not going to be bad to you, but come on, girl. Whoa! Whew. Now that we understand the classification of snakes, remember that all snakes are going to be in that row, right? They're going to be an Animalia. They're going to be a Chordata. They're going to be a Squamata. They're going to be a Serpente. But then you get into the family, and unlike Ivy, whose family is Boidae, so she's related to the Boas, we have, of course, the Pythonidae here. Come on, Lucy. What are you doing, girl? She is in such a ridiculously bad mood. I don't know why she's like that, but again, she's a python in the Pythonidae family, and of course she's a giant snake, right? And of course reticulated pythons are the longest snake in the Pythonidae family, but she's actually a Python reticulatus. So the genus is Python and the species is reticulatus. And I tell you what, I'm gonna get out of here before I get bit because she is really on fire. Whoa! Come on, little girl. You're okay, girl. I love you. She's a good girl, I promise you. You're okay, sweetheart. Whew. I tell you what an amazing snake. But again, the Boidae family and the Pythonidae family is a broad range of animals. There's actually 8 genuses and 43 species of python alone. And like you can see, Lucy is a handful, but it's not just her attitude. It's actually caring for a snake like this is pretty incredible. As a matter of fact, Bruce and Mike know how hard it is to take care of an animal like Lucy.
I've been doing it for almost a year now.
Aw, it's cute. Is it like y'all like just give him some love? He's been here for a year now, man. Good job, Mike. He hasn't died yet.
She's up. Oh shit. She's up.
You gotta use the safety of the trash can.
I don't fit behind the trash can. Bruce is taller. It's a nicer, bigger meal.
It's generally like a sickening smell, but we've been doing this for so long. It
doesn't
doesn't really bother. It's not soothing at all.
This is nuts.
Got something clogged. I missed a spot right there.
Dude, her face is right there.
Yeah, it sure is, isn't it?
It's nice and clean.
As always, I'm stuck doing the job. Woo! She's ready to do it now.
Watch
Hey,
the bottle didn't do anything.
We go play games now. We go play games. Let's do this.
Smells good. Who's cooking?
Next to the anaconda and the Boidae family when it comes to size, of course, is the boas, right? The common boa constrictors, or in this case would be a boa constrictor imperator, which is really a common boa, not a red-tailed boa, and Cupcake is a giant boa. Typically, the common boas don't get quite as large as her. I've seen some about her size, but she is definitely a beastie. There is absolutely no doubt about it. And again, she is not a boa constrictor. She's actually a boa constrictor imperator, which is one more level, right? Because we've talked about genus and species, but the truth is that there's actually genus, species, and subspecies. In the Boidae family alone, there are 12 genuses and over 50 species. Now, you guys know that I don't really like to get all kind of scientific and technical on you guys, but at the same time, it is good to teach people, right? And I sometimes want to teach you guys things so that now you can basically have like some knowledge, right? You'd be like, I understand how these animals are actually classified. Now you get into subspecies, which actually is a little bit more tricky because you have the genus and species, but then there are a bunch of animals that have subspecies, right? So you have boa constrictor imperator, which are the common boa constrictors, and then you have the true red-tailed boas, like the Suriname red-tailed boa right here, which is actually the constrictor, right? So that's kind of, you know, it makes it a little bit more kind of confusing in the sense that, wait a second, they're the same genus, they're the same species, but they're not the same animal. There's actually a subspecies to it. Not all snakes or animals have subspecies, but when it comes to certain snakes and lizards, they actually do. In the boa case, they actually are subspecies. Again, the imperators are the common boas, and the constrictors are the true red tails. Now we get into another Pythonidae animal, which is actually a carpet python. Now you may ask yourself, what's the difference between Pythonidae and Boidae, right? And there's really several differences, and there's some kind of intricate differences as well. But the two major differences is the fact that the Pythonidae animals actually lay eggs. Now again, there's a few exceptions to this rule when it comes to sand boas. I don't understand it. They're in the Boidae family, but they actually lay eggs. Sand boas, like the Russian sand boas. But the truth is that as a general rule, pythons lay eggs and boas have live young, right? The other thing that happens is that pythons have heat pits on the upper and lower jaws, right? They have those heat pits that are used for actually seeing in the dark and that heat kind of thermal way, whereas boas typically only have it on the lower jaw. So those are like the typically biggest differences between Pythonidae and Boidae. Again, there's a bunch of intricacies and there's some crossovers that don't quite make sense, like the Calabar burrowing python that again is in the Boidae family but is called a python and lays eggs. I don't know. Taxonomy can get strange, but I want to make general assumptions so you guys have a better understanding of what the difference between pythons and boas are in Pythonidae and Boidae family. And then when it comes to pythons, again, you get into the subspecies just like with the boas. This happens to be a diamond python, which is a Morelia spilota, right? So again, it is the spilota. But again, when you get into the carpet pythons, they are Spilotas variegata or chaini or whatever the case is, Brettles or something on that line. But this would be the actual diamond python, Morelia spilota. And just to give you an idea of what I meant, obviously the first one was a diamond python, which again was a Morelia spilota. This happens to be a jungle carpet. Again, very similar animal, but more banded instead of those diamond-y kind of circles, right? And this is a Morelia spilotes chaini, which is just a subspecies of the diamond python. Now, it gets tricky when people want to breed, say, a diamond python to a jungle carpet, because you're really not interbreeding species, you're just interbreeding subspecies, which technically isn't even hybridization, and in some cases, people don't mind. With carpet pythons, actually, it seems to be completely okay. Weirdly enough, with boas, it doesn't seem to be as okay, and there are other species of animals the same way, where if you actually integrate different subspecies, people get really bent out of shape. So it's kind of an interesting thing because they are the same species, but different subspecies. So anyways, jungle carpets are absolutely beautiful too. With 40 plus species of python and 50 plus species of boas, obviously the majority of people think that they're giant animals, you know, and obviously there are some giant animals in both the Boidae and the Pythonidae family, but the Burmese pythons are certainly one of those giants, there's no doubt about it, that could get like 18 foot. Now, Sunrise is only about 12 foot long, and she's actually a Python malurus bivitatus. So again, it's a subspecies of Python malurus. Now, Python malurus is actually the Indian python, which are Appendix 1 endangered, so you don't see them around that much, whereas the Burmese pythons are Appendix 2 endangered and being bred pretty captive readily. But the truth is that a lot of boas and pythons really aren't giants. And like I mentioned, not all boas and pythons are giant snakes, right? Now, they certainly have giant snakes in them, but this Antaracia children's eye is actually a pygmy python species from Australia. Now, there's actually a few different species of the Antaracia, but again, this is as big as they get. I mean, they don't get any larger than this. This is an adult. This is like a 5-year-old male animal that doesn't get bigger. So when you think about a python or boa, oftentimes we think of the giants, but the truth is, of all those species in the Boidae and Pythonidae family, a lot of them are actually small animals just like this one here. Then we have the viper boas, which are actually a Candoia asper, and they are usually pretty feisty and hyper little animals. These are a little tiny boa from Indonesia. Ow, whoa, sheesh, got me in the face and in the finger. That was absolutely quick. So these guys are definitely feisty at times. They are a live-bearing snake, really cool little boa, but holy moly, that thing is on fire. It's okay. Whoa, it's okay. Tell you what, this is a little crazy monkey, there is no doubt about it. But again, a little boa like this packs a crazy punch. So which one is better, a boa or a python, right? This happens to be a Dumerils boa from Madagascar, an Acrantophorus dumerili. There's actually only 2 species in the entire genus of Acrantophorus. Of course, you've got the dumerili and you have the Madagascarensis, which is the Malagasy ground boa. But the truth is that pythons and boas are pretty similar, to be honest with you, and it's really what you want. You know, boas can be super docile, but they can be a little bit touchy, like we saw with the viper boa. Pythons can be super docile and can be a little bit tricky with an animal like Lucy, you know what I mean? So it's really what you want. You know, boas and pythons oftentimes are thought of as giant animals that like to kill people. The truth is that doesn't happen. They're not killers. They don't want to kill people and stuff like that, and they're really placid, amazing animals. And if you pick the right species, genus, species, and all the other things we've been talking about, you can have an amazing experience like an animal here like the Dumerils boa. Another amazing genus and species of snake would happen to be one of the rarer pythons on the planet for sure, which is of the Somalia genus. This is actually a Boelen's python, or a Somalia boeleni, and these guys are from New Guinea and absolutely incredible. Very expensive, very unusual snake. You don't see these around too much. I mean, people are working with them, but the captive breeding site is very rare. I mean, it does happen, but on rare occasion, and we just haven't got it right. As a matter of fact, we had Ari Flagel on a podcast a few weeks back. If you haven't seen that, go check it out. Really amazing. He's probably like the most knowledgeable Boelen's python guy in the United States, and he's been to New Guinea. He knows there. He's caught them on eggs. He's done all the research. He's actually even written a book about them. They're really an incredible animal, and they're born kind of with this rusty color and then turn this beautiful jet black. Probably one of the most iridescent snakes you can find. Absolutely wonderful. Get about 9 to 10 foot long. Pretty girthy. So this guy here, which name is Bugatti, is actually only about half grown and doing absolutely amazing. Definitely one ripper of a snake. And pythons aren't the only animal with crazy iridescence. Of course, Brazilian rainbow boas are iridescent as well. That's why they're called rainbow boas, is because when you look at them, you kind of see a rainbow sheen to them. They're of the genus Epicrates and actually species Centuria, and they're actually amazing animals. So you see there's a lot of similarities between boas and pythons. Lots of big pythons, lots of big boas, lots of small pythons, lots of small boas. I mean, there's a lot of variety, and I hope that you guys enjoyed it because I want to educate you guys. Let me know in the comments which animals you were the most surprised about. Let me know what you learned. Let me know if you want to learn more, and I can do more videos like this if you guys want, because I really do enjoy sharing my knowledge of animals with you guys. If you did enjoy this video, do me a favor, right over here, hit that playlist. It would really help me out a lot. You know what else would help me a lot? Right on this side, can you hit that subscription button? Have an absolutely wonderful day, Reptile Army. Remember, be kind to someone, and I promise I'll see you in the next one.